Well, hello everybody, and welcome to another edition of the Breakfast Club with Got That Funk. Thank you for joining me. I wanted to talk very briefly today about the situation going on with the whole, not just the Mueller investigation as such, but today in Washington, D.C., Michael Flynn was in his sentencing hearing. Now, Michael Flynn used to be the national security advisor for Donald Trump when he originally started his administration back in the beginning of 2017. And Michael Flynn was also, unbeknownst to the public at the time, a secret agent for the government of Turkey. He was a paid agent of Turkey and the national security advisor for the United States. Literally a double agent in the administration. And he pleaded guilty, and in exchange for his cooperation in terms of helping the investigation along, his guilty plea was supposed to get him a lighter sentence. But of course, prosecutors can't necessarily guarantee how a judge is going to deal with someone who pleads guilty. For example, when Michael Cohen pleaded guilty a week and a half or 2 weeks ago, whatever, another person who's been brought down in the blast radius of what's going to be the explosion of Trump's presidency. But Michael Cohen, when he pleaded guilty, he got 3 years anyway, because his crimes were so serious. And when it comes to Flynn, I find it interesting because clearly the White House wasn't expecting the result today in Flynn's sentencing, and there has been no result. Flynn's lawyers, they had a recess, and when they came back, they asked for a delay in sentencing. I suppose they might be reconsidering their position because today the judge made, the usual back and forth when it comes to a guilty plea. The judge will make sure that they're satisfied that you understand that you're pleading guilty to a crime and that you don't need any more time to think about it, and that you're pleading guilty because you are in fact guilty and all that kind of stuff. And they go over it and over it. Is there any questions you have for me? Questions for your lawyers? No, no, no. I'm guilty. Yes, blah, blah, blah. And then the judge basically said that, you were an agent of a foreign government, and you might be, you have probably betrayed your own country. You sold out your own country, I think is his exact words. And he said he's not going to disguise his disgust with that sort of behavior, and finds it difficult not to recommend a prison sentence because or sentence him to some time in prison, I suppose, because whether you have cooperated or not with the investigation still remains to be seen. I mean, the investigators in fact did say, the judge said, do you expect him to continue to cooperate? And they said up to a point, sort of thing. They didn't really say yes. They expect him to totally cooperate. But I think Mueller's people have gotten the relevant stuff from Flynn that they need, which I think is obviously why he's going to trial now, or to sentencing now, I mean. Anyway, my point is, I think this decision by the judge to dangle the probability that he's going to go to prison in front of Flynn and basically call Flynn out for, he almost called him a traitor. He actually said to the special counsel prosecutors, why haven't you, talked about charging this guy with treason? Is he guilty of treason? Could he be charged with treason? I think is the question that was asked. And they said that wasn't an avenue that they were looking to pursue, for reasons of strategy, no doubt. Anyway, prior to this hearing today, this is what I find interesting and somewhat suspicious. Prior to this hearing, you had Sarah Huckabee Sanders talking to the press, basically saying that the judge is bound to be very critical of the way the FBI has handled Flynn's questioning and so on and so on. And then on the weekend just gone, Judge Jeanine Pirro, who's a contributor on Fox News, she's got like a regular program, and she's extremely pro-Trump, to put it mildly. And she was also saying the same thing, that the judge will be appalled at the way the FBI handled Michael Flynn's, questioning and blah, blah, blah. And it seems to me like these people on the right, these voices and other voices in the media over the weekend, were trying to sort of telegraph to the judge, you know, how to play it if he was inclined to want to help Trump out. And clearly, the judge, whether he might have been sort of, you know, partisan in favor of a right-wing ideology or not, didn't seem to play any relevance to his approach to the way he handled General Flynn. So I think that's kind of important, and you know, it remains to be seen what will happen with Flynn, whether he's going to get a prison sentence or not. I think cooperating with the special counsel obviously should be taken into account, but then again, like we say, you know, there are many crimes of which he has been accused of, which he's pled guilty to, and they're all extremely serious. So, yeah, I don't think that you should be a double agent in the U.S. government and be able to get away with it just because you decided to answer a few questions, especially when in the course of answering those questions you were found to be lying. So you said you'd cooperate for special treatment, or you know, for lenient treatment. You said you'd cooperate, and then in the process of your so-called cooperation, you tell a whole bunch of lies that they knew were lies. That's therefore not cooperating. And if you say you're going to cooperate, but then you don't cooperate, or you don't cooperate fully, how much of a lenient sentence can you really expect? If he was completely honest from the get-go in his cooperation effort, maybe I could see a case being made for, you know, total leniency and saying, okay, well, you know, we'll let you off because you've helped us out, you know, you've helped us prove our case that we're working on or whatever. That's not what's happening though. So, you know, Flynn lied to the FBI, and then he's got the audacity last week to say, oh, they never told me it was a crime to lie to the FBI. Dude, you used to work in the fucking Department of Justice at one point, I think, and not only that, but you were the National Security Advisor to the President of the United States. You should know that it's not legal to lie to law enforcement. And it blows me away that they're trying to get off on a technicality like that, which doesn't even hold water, really. Like I say, you know, when you're asked a question, you have the option of telling the truth first and foremost. You have to decide to tell a lie. Telling the truth doesn't take a decision. It just takes being honest. Now, I suppose you could argue that being honest is itself a decision. I would say not necessarily. I think the opposite is true. I think being dishonest is a decision. You know, if someone asks you a question, the honest answer doesn't really take a decision. You know, that's what should be the expected response is honesty. You shouldn't have to say, well, I wasn't under oath, or I didn't have a lawyer present with me or whatever, to know that I shouldn't be lying to the FBI. So we'll see what happens. Bottom line is, I hope they throw the book at this guy. But even if they don't, even if they let him out for cooperating, it shouldn't be completely scot-free. As far as I'm concerned, he should have to do some amount of time for being so duplicitous as to, you know, allow himself to be in the administration for the fucking president, for Christ's sake, while he was a paid operative for a foreign government. Not okay. I would love to hear your comments and have a discussion on this topic down below in the comment section. I look forward to seeing you again next week. I will be here next week on Christmas Eve to make my video, which I will be doing from California, where I'll be visiting my family for the holiday season. So I look forward to that. Whatever you do, if you celebrate at this time of year, I hope you have a very nice celebration with lots of warm memories created. Until next time, peace.